Hello and welcome to the Michael Harding podcast. I'd like to talk about where I'm at the moment. We're halfway through Lent, and I love Lent, but I feel it always necessary for myself to do religion without getting too heavily involved in it. In other words, it's a dynamic that allows me to be mentally healthy. And if it allows you to be mentally healthy, then that's, I think, a really good thing. If religion tends to enclose me in my own mind, and kind of give me a sort of a whole constellation of mythic beings in my whole interior that don't connect with the exterior, then I always know that's not a good thing. And if I veer towards that, then I know I'm getting in trouble here. I need to kind of lighten up a bit. So this is for me, it's a huge kind of secret as to how you practice religion. And there's a great theologian, a woman, Karen Armstrong is her name, and she says this too all the time. She says religion is an art form, and like art, it's rarely practiced well, right? It's a tricky enough thing. It's a very, very beautiful thing if you find a way to make music in your life by the practice of religion. That would be my feeling. And my life wouldn't mean anything without my faith, without a faith that is deeply and centrally expressed in my belief in the Christian tradition, but also that I find it very, very easy to express the same faith in different languages. And when I take refuge in the Buddha, I do it with a full heart and a full sense that I'm engaging in a ritual that is real and that expresses the truth of my deepest inner being. And I'm always enjoying looking at other religions, looking at ways that people live faith, because I suppose I feel that faith is like imagination. Maybe I don't see any difference between faith and imagination, that it is to live on the inside in order to live on the outside. You live on the inside because the beauty of the kind of dynamic and harmony and the relationships that exist on the inside, in your soul, in your heart, that they flower on the surface of your life, and that on the outside, when somebody says, "How are you doing?" you're able to say, "I'm doing well." And even if you're ill, or if there's some difficulty in your life or some tragedy in your life, that even in those moments, that you're actually able to say, "Do you know, I'm doing well," because you have found this secret inside, this sense of joy that I think only comes on the inside. Only comes on the inside, and it comes from the very, very core of the inside. That's a Christian idea from the Desert Fathers. They say that, and Meister Eckhart talks about it as well, this thing of, that yourself is like kind of different circles within circles. So that if you take the outer circle, that's the bit of you that kind of interacts with the world at a surface level. And then if you go inside, there's an inner circle, and that's also reacting with the world, but at a deeper level, maybe at the level of emotions and feelings and affection. If you get to the very center of this diagram of the self, which is, circles within circles, you get to the very central nut or core, fulcrum, hub, whatever, of the circle. And that is the bit Meister Eckhart and these boys say. I'm not an expert on it now, but as far as I understand it, there's a bit in there in the centre of you that it's not engaging with the outside at all. And yet it's an awake bit of you. It's a bit you're aware of. And that's the bit where you're engaging with God. And that's the wrong way to put it. It's where God's engaging with you. It's almost like there's a sensation beyond sensation at the core of your being, which is not solitary, but enjoys the experience of transcendence. And I think, when I look at people practicing the Tai Chi and Taoism, you see it's the same. It's a different language for the same thing. We're all at this. We're all at this sense of experiencing life more than just at the surface level, and experiencing life more than just what we want and need and desire, and who we dislike and who we don't like. We're experiencing it at a much deeper level the more we go inside. And the more we go inside and hold ourselves together inside through mindfulness or whatever, we get to a kind of a beautiful sense of containment, that we are actually floating on something. That we're not actually holding anything up ourselves, but we are being held up. And you personalize that in the Christian language of God, or you personalize it in the language of Taoism as the Tao or whatever. I don't know. It's like they're all languages. And that's why I think that religions get such a bad name, because they do, because of their power, they have a tendency to get into trouble, or to get you into trouble, or get me into trouble. The fact that they're so powerful means that you can get drawn in too close, like a magnet, to the interior, and you begin to live the interior as opposed to the exterior. Do you know? You begin to kind of engage in a sense of loving revelry with the gods within your heart, while you're, looking out your eyes and despising who's around you. That sort of dichotomy is the sort of religious hypocrisy that gets pointed to in every tradition. In every tradition you get this problem where, being a professional religious person can sometimes be synonymous with being a hypocrite. Now, that's all right. But even at the ordinary level, at my low level, at your low level, at the ordinary level, I think I still do it. Let me put it like that in a personal way. I still sometimes get drawn in too deeply into what begins as the beautiful room in the heart. You get drawn into this beautiful room, which is a room of solitude within your own psyche, within your soul. It is your soul. I don't know what it is, but it's there at your center. And you can practice mindfulness in various ways, and you can come to be at the very center. And it's so beautiful because it fills you with joy, and the joy just explodes out of you. It comes off your skin, it comes out of your eyes, and you just want to embrace the whole world. And that's faith, that's Christian love, that's Tao, the Chi, Bodhisattva energy, whatever. That's the beautiful thing. It's you're reaching out, But there's moments where that, going into that room in the heart, you kind of, there's a tendency with me, sometimes I'll take it too serious, make it too substantial, make it too real, and then the room becomes a prison, and I lock the door, and I'm kind of stuck in there with me icons, in a room, and the door locked, and the curtains drawn, And that's not a good place. I do say to myself, Michael, I do say, that's not a good place to be. And I open the curtains, open the windows, open the doors, and get out. And as I said in the book, there's a book I wrote, What is Beautiful in the Sky, but at the end of it I talk about putting away the icons. There's this wonderful moment sometimes where you actually put away all that language of religion, all the grammar of faith. You put it away in boxes, in drawers, You close it all down and you leave nothing on the walls, no icons, no images. And you just be so completely in the present moment that you then don't even need religion. You don't even need, you're like the woman, the teacher I met one time leaning over a wall on an island off the west coast of Ireland, and we were leaning there. It was a Sunday morning and the priest was inside saying the mass with the people. And me and her were outside, not bothered to go in. And there was only one mass every 2 weeks in that place at the time. And she says to me, looking out into the ocean, she said, but sure, the people on this island, sure, they wouldn't need the religion anyway. She said, sure, they have the sea. And I thought, now that's something I'll be remembering for decades. Because it's true. It's true, you know. When you name the bird, you cease to experience the song. And that's also true with religion, that it's a naming of the bird. It's very, very helpful. And then a time comes where you let go of it and you just sit there, just with the trees, just with the wind, just with the sea, just with your beloved. You just sit there and be, existentially be. And there's no more naming of anything. It's not that you've decided there's no God, no heaven, but you're not deciding there is a God and there is a heaven. You're just being. You're in that beautiful rapture. I think that is what they probably meant when they were talking about rapture in some scriptures, you know. It's that thing that, is it Doris Lessing, she talks about it with the hawk, you know. You look out the window, you see the beautiful bird just floating, hovering, and for a second you forget yourself. You're so completely in the present moment that there is nothing else. And there's no need to name it. And that's what I call the silence when the music is over. I call that the silence between the notes, you know. That each note comes out of silence, falls back into silence. But in the interim, the silence is absolutely amazing and beautiful. We talk, and then when we actually arrive at realization, we fall silent. Same in conversation, you know, when you come to a realization in any conversation, and when I say a realization rather than making a point, you know, conversation can be like one argument made after another, and that tires you out. But sometimes in conversation, there's what you might call a realization, where you articulate something that is true, and you realize as you say it, you know, that is the truth. And all you can do after that statement is be silent. And let it settle. And for me, like, I find this time of Lent a good time for kind of silence, a good time for putting away the icons and thinking about just being here now as an existential experience of joy. That's available to me even if the lockdown is very tricky. And the lockdown, I'd find the lockdown tricky at the moment. Tricky, I mean, I'd find myself a bit worn out by the lockdown. I'm having to work harder. I thought that when the spring came in, the lockdown would be easier. But in fact, because we were in lockdown last spring, there's a wearisomeness comes on me now. But this time of silence can be, look, really beautiful. And March, it's a funny little month, you know, because it's neither one thing nor the other. They used to call it that, I think there was a phrase, the time of the wolf in ancient Celtic society. It's the time after spring, after Bridget's Day, and we're into the spring, and yet we're still in a cold, wintry time, and the wolves are still hungry. Or were in the old days. Foxes do be very hungry at this time of year too. But here we are in this strange halfway place, and it's a very nice time, I find, to do a little practice that kind of releases you from too much meaning, releases you from too much analysis about life, and allows you just to breathe in and out the ordinary presences of the world around you. I have been through ups and downs on this podcast with you for the past year. And I'm coming into March realizing that I began it on the 13th of April last year. I cannot believe that it has gone for the year. I'm not planning to close it down or anything for the moment. I'm planning to hopefully go on, but I do take 1 week at a time. So I just don't know until the week begins what I might talk about. I get out of hand when I start talking. I can't stop. Sorry about that. And thank you for listening, for putting up with me. Thank you for being here. Have a beautiful Wednesday, a magnificent Thursday, and I'll chat to you on Friday. Bye-bye.